Good to go.
Okay, thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today's seminar. I'm very excited to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Cheryl Rock. Me and Cheryl were students back at UF. We were doing our PhDs in different labs, and this is after so long. We are meeting via this seminar because in the past we used to go to the meetings. We would get in touch with each other, but since COVID, it's been a long time. But I am super excited for today's seminar. Let me first introduce Dr. Shara Rock. She is an associate professor of food science, family and consumer sciences at the California State University, Long Beach. She did her bachelor's and master's from Alabama A&M University, and she graduated with a PhD degree from University of Florida at the same time when I graduated. We did work on a project together, which was on ultrasound, where we were trying to extract polyphenols from a large batch of blueberries. And we published a manuscript together on that project. And not only she is doing research and academic activities, she is also involved in other activities such as martial arts. She practices martial arts, and she is a very good violinist. So I am excited today to introduce our speaker, Dr. Cheryl Rock, who will be talking about academia as an exciting career. Welcome, Cheryl, and now the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Aman. It seems such a long time that we've communicated, and I really appreciate you inviting me to present about academia as an exciting career. It's one of my passions, and I feel like I'll try to make the presentation very engaging and interactive, and hopefully I can convince some students to pursue career in academia. I know most of the students, they want to go into industry, but I want to share my excitement in academia. And so thank you again for inviting me to this presentation, to do this presentation. I'm really excited. So just to give you a little overview of what I'll be going over, I'll give you some, Amanda did a great job of really summarizing, some aspect about myself. And so I'll get into why I became a professor. Then I'll go into fun stuff about me, because oftentimes students, when they think of professors, they think about a GPA of 4.0 and nothing else. So I'll also share a little fun stuff about myself. I do have an activity for you in terms of what your perceptions are about jobs in academia. And then I would get into the three main tiers of academia that most professors do actually get engaged in: teaching, research, and service. However, the way I teach is very, very different to most of my colleagues. And the way I do research is also very different to most of my colleagues. And the way I do service is also very different to most of my colleagues. So I will be sharing that today with you regarding these three tiers of having an exciting career in academia. I'm really, really excited about that. So first, I have an icebreaker for you. I will pull up the poll everywhere, and I want to gauge your for those students in the audience, I want to gauge what your perception is in academia as a career, or what do you think being a professor is like. And we will use a word cloud. Just use one word so I can gauge to see what your thoughts are. You may take 2 to 3 minutes because you have to kind of do a couple of things before you can poll everywhere. So I'll bring that screen up for you right now. So here's the screen. And so there's 2 ways you can participate in this poll. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Poll Everywhere, but you can either respond at just type in this link in, pollev.com/CherylRock136. Or if you want to text using your phone, first you have to create a contact. Like if you were creating a new contact in your phone, you'll first create a new contact by typing 37607 as your contact. Once you create that contact, then you text Cheryl Rock 136 that contact, and then you can begin to type your responses here. So use one word to describe what your perception is of having a career in academia. So I'll give you like 2 minutes to do so, and I'm keen on seeing what the adjectives you come up with regarding this question. I hope you're not shy.
Yeah, we have a couple of students, and rest are faculty. So let's see.
So the few students, and don't be shy. We're not going to call you out. I want your name is anonymous in this poll. So I just want to see your perception of having a career in academia. Okay. I guess that's one sentence. Teaching, researchable. It takes long time to pursue a career in academia. Okay. So I hope you know that the larger word, the larger the word or descriptor you see on the screen is affiliated with the actual amount of time somebody respond with that word, and it's research. So I see that most students think that the job in academia involves a lot of research. Teaching takes time, obviously. It's I see research a lot of research a lot of times. I see intensive, serious, academia. So these adjectives, really good. Thank you for. So hopefully by the end of today's presentation, you'll have a different perspective of what about academia, and definitely research is very involved. It does take time. But it can also be a very fun career. So now I'll enlighten you on that. Thank you very much for participating in the poll. All right, so Aman did go to some stuff about myself. As she mentioned, I am originally from a country called Barbados, a Caribbean island, and I did my associate's degree there, biology and chemistry. At the time, I aspired to be a physical therapist, but then I got a full scholarship in food science to Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University. There, I pursued my bachelor's and master's in food science. And then upon my completion of master's, one of my professors was moving to University of Florida because he got hired there and he wanted to take some students with him, and I was one of them. So that's how I became a University of Florida Gator, and that's where I acquired my PhD, and that's where I met your professor, Aman. And so that's the brevity of my educational background. So why I became a professor, industry versus academics? Well, as an undergraduate, I wanted to get some experience in industry. Most of my experiences in industry was limited to working in Barbados because I was an international student, and it was difficult to, acquire employment status in the U.S. So I used to go back to Barbados at the time, and I had a chance to work at a dairy food company called Pine Hill Dairy, and I learned how to, test antibiotics, bacteria in milk products, flavored milks. And the company specialized in flavored milks, canned products, canned milk, and UHT and HTSD products. And but then I felt like I really enjoyed the job, but something I really felt more comfortable mentoring my peers. I like mentoring my peers. And when I was a student, a lot of my colleagues would come to me and tell me, "Oh, you do explain this concept really great. You make it seem so easy. One day you'll become a professor." And I'm like, "Me, not me." But then as time went along, I realized that I was really good at just explaining difficult concepts to my peers. And that really piqued my interest in the job of academia. One day, my advisor came up to me. He said, you know, I had to do a guest lecture for this class, and you did really good, and the students really felt that they were engaged. Why do you consider a job in academia? And so that was what led me to that path of academics. And so I went from industry, being a quality assurance technician, to being an associate professor of food science. I started my tenure in 2014. I'm currently tenured now. I got tenure last year, so it was a really rigorous process, but well earned. And this is one of my students from my first cohort, Janelle. So as Amanda mentioned, I am a food scientist and I'm also an associate professor. And this photo here, you know, it shows a combination of the three areas in which we specialize in academia. So the first one is research. So you see me here with my student. She is actually a registered dietitian now, but she had a keen interest in pet food and pet nutrition, and she wanted to measure the texture profiles of different canned foods. And so that was a really intriguing product for her. And plus the machine was new, so we got a chance to play with it. And then I'm also, my service requirement involves me advising students in the Food Science Club. So I'm the Food Science Club advisor. And I encourage them to participate in the Institute of Food Technologists Student Association activities. And then I also take my students to field trips at Yakult. So Yakult is a probiotic drink. And what is fascinating and unique about this particular company, that this is the only branch that is located in Southern California. There's no other branches that are located across the US. So this facility produces all the Yakults for the entire US of A. So my students had a chance to go there 2 years ago to see the process behind it and to sample the products. And it was really fun for them to see how food is actually produced. So a lot of my pedagogy or my teaching style is more of the experiential learning. So this picture shows my summarizing my joy of being a professor. So like most typical food science programs that is housed in the School of Agriculture, at California State University, the food science program is located or housed in the Family of Consumer Sciences under the College of Human Health and Services. And to my left-hand side here, you can see the different majors that are taught within the department. I say that food science is the center of attention because we are like in the center. So we go from baby to actual older adults, which is called gerontology, so study of aging. So we have nutrition and dietetics and food science in our program that relates to food and hospitality management. The other pictures show like how my students just really spoil me. They surprise me sometimes with some really, really cute stuff like the birthday cake. I wasn't really expecting that. And, you know, some really great plans with my cups. And we have a radio station on campus called K Beach, and they invited me onto their foodology radio show to talk about food fraud. So it was a lot of fun engagement with the students. They were really hilarious and I really enjoyed myself. So what is my main philosophy of professorship? You know, really, I try to enhance students' overall experience, really through not just the content knowledge, but through overall, you know, experiential learning, through very innovative teaching practices. And you'll get to see a bit of that as I go through the presentation. So this picture here shows me and my students. We were invited to visit a high pressure technology food company about 2 years ago. And you can see who's not paying attention. My student and I are not paying attention to the person who's speaking, but that was just for the picture. And they were learning about how high pressure technology can be used to pasteurize solid food, cold pasteurization before the food goes on the shelf. So we do a lot of in the past, we did a lot of field trips, and that really was part of my goal as to show students the outside of the classroom experience and experiential learning. So definitely your responses to my question about what is the common perception of professors. When I ask my students what they perceive, they say, oh, you must have a GPA of 4.0 because you're so smart. And then it all boils down to either the books and the kind of the research, the studying. You have the book press in the background, the library. So there's just think it's just think that we're just like we're studying most of the time. If we're not studying, we're grading papers or serving up my research publication. So hopefully today I give you a different perception of what it's like to have a job in academia. And this is not incorrect. I mean, professors do a lot of research, they require a lot of like reading and stuff, but this is not the only thing we do. So whenever I go to my classes, I like to show the students the human side of me, because most times again they think that I'm just a GPA 4.0 and we don't do nothing else but just grade papers and give lectures or do research. And so I like to show them the very fun side of myself. When I graduated from my PhD, I wanted to give myself something really, really cute and fun, and just to get out of my comfort zone. And I watched a movie called Fast and Furious,
That was real solid work.
Yeah, so that was my first reaction when I saw that car. I was like, I think I'm in love. So I got myself one, and I call him Luke. So my students were like, that's so cool. I was driving on campus one day and they were taking pictures of me driving my car, and I was like, don't put me on Instagram, okay? But it's real fun. I like to show students that it's not just books and papers. I like to have fun. I live in California, so it's a perfect place for a sports vehicle to take it on the freeway and stretch it out a little bit. So I really have fun driving my sports vehicle. And I also practice martial arts. We wasn't really active for 2 years because of COVID, just the conditioning aspect. So these are previous photos I have. I practice 2 styles of martial arts, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Hapkido, which is Korean style, similar to Taekwondo. And I also play music. And so I also like to show students this part of myself too. So I have a short little clip on me breaking a board.
Turn a little more before you lift it. That's it, right there. You got it.
So students get to see the fun side of what a professor is like. And then, before class, I have a favorite morning ritual, which is to have coffee. And, I've been to coffee conferences where the actual artist paint me my portrait using the coffee liqueur. And I had a business student from Korea, and she told me her experiences with professors in Korea. And she's like, I never had a professor who took me to coffee before. And this is really cool. So she wanted me to take a picture of me and her together before she went back to Korea. So that's me and Eunice. She came 2019 fall. And so we had a great time that semester. She really enjoyed seeing a professor at office hours at Starbucks. She said it was a really great experience. So she wanted that picture. However, to get onto the presentation, so that was a fun part of myself. There is a lot of misconceptions about jobs in academia, where you have, there's 4-year teaching colleges only. And then the other thought is that you just do research in our one universities, and there's nothing in the middle. And so pretty much that sometimes it could be a deterrent from many students who might think that they want to pursue a job. They just don't want to teach, or they just don't want to do research. They want to do something else. Well, I found the sweet spot. There are some universities that do allow you to, they value research, or expect research, but they also value teaching as well. And you get to integrate both of them. It's called a Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. And it's called, you can have your intellectual freedom to see how you integrate those different aspects of research into your teaching. Now, I focus mainly on the pedagogy, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So this is my sweet spot. I like to integrate both of my teaching and research together, and I'll show you just that. And teaching doesn't only include just being in the classroom, and research doesn't only mean that you work in a lab, and I'll show you just what that is all about. So before I get started with that, I wanted to share a little facts about California State University in Long Beach. So California State University is a huge university system that is comprised of 23 university campuses all across Southern California. I am located in Long Beach, the more southern region of California, and the university was founded in 1949. It is a public university. At my campus alone, there is about 38,000 students enrolled out of 480,000 students total. So the total number is all the 23 campuses combined. Okay, so I'm located in a nice beachy area where it's more like Caribbean-like weather. So this is the demographics of Cal State Long Beach. We're mainly a Hispanic serving university, and then we have followed by Asian American, Pacific Islanders, followed by Caucasians, and then we have Alaskan American and other races, and which are smaller in percentages. And this is our new, statue right here, which is the Gold Beach sign, and this is where a lot of students take a lot of pictures during graduations and stuff like that. So the main colleges at Cal State Long Beach, like I said, I'm located in the College of Human Health and Services. Unlike most food science programs, we are mainly found in the College of Agriculture, but we are housed in the College of Health and Human Services. On your right-hand side, that's where I used to hang out a lot, as a Japanese garden in our campus called the Erzberg Miller Japanese Garden. It's really nice for events, and my students and I go there for tea sometimes and to feed the koi, so it's real nice to just get out and have some fresh air from class. And one of the interesting features of Cal State Long Beach is our pyramid. We have a pyramid on campus. It's an 80-story event center. It is a gymnasium, so it houses the floor for the arena for the volleyball and the basketball, and it's also a conference center. It's called The Point. The pilots that fly over the pyramid use it as a navigation point to the airport, so it's one of the landmarks. And it is one of the only 3 true pyramid buildings found in the US of A. One is in Las Vegas and one is in Memphis. So the third one is found at California State Long Beach. So if you are in Long Beach, I'm happy to take you over to the pyramid so you can see what it looks like inside. So then let's get to the fun part of academia. So my teaching involves a lot of study abroad, short-term study abroad. I've been to Germany, Hamburg, Germany, and but that one mainly specifically relates to a program called Professors Around the World, where we build collaboration and exchanges with different students from different countries. So for example, students would come from Germany to Cal State Long Beach, and the students from Cal State Long Beach will go to Germany. And we call it CSULB affiliate because the programs are called Cal State Long Beach within Germany. So it's like going to school like at the university in the US, but in a different country. So we get the exchange aspect. However, there is another program called Short-Term Study Abroad, and I am from Barbados. So I get to take students abroad, and my class is called Distilling and Brewing Technology in Barbados. And I've had 3 cohorts, 2017 too as well, but I didn't get a picture of that group next to the submarine that is in the background right there. But every year I take about 9 to 10 students with me to Barbados. And our signature photo is to stand in front of the old retired submarine and wearing our Barbados t-shirts or carrying the Barbados flags. And as you can see here, my class is predominantly female. So maybe the girls have more interest in distillation technology and brewing. And so it's just the study of rum and beer in Barbados. And so let's go to Barbados. So Barbados, where is it located? It's a very small island located. So this is Florida right here. This is where myself and Aman lived for a while. It's a 4-hour flight from Florida all the way down to the Caribbean and down to the West Indies. And then you see here Barbados. The island is 21 miles long and 14 miles wide, has a population of 290,000 people. And the students go there for about 2 weeks to enjoy the Caribbean weather, the Caribbean people, And my class is the only class that takes students to the Caribbean. All the other study abroad programs mainly go to Europe. I'm the first one to take the students to the Caribbean. So it's a lot of fun. And so one of the things the students do there, when they go to Barbados and they do there, is they take a safari to tour the island in 3 tiers. There's the flora and fauna and the geology of the island. They go for a cave excursion and also a submarine dive. So I'll show you pictures of them. And so this is like my first cohort. We were taking the island safari, and the jeeps are named after characters on Sesame Street. Ask me a question, I don't know why, but this one was named Oscar. So you know Oscar was grumpy. And this guy was just knocking us around the vehicle. It was so much fun though. But they get to meet locals on their way around the island, and they get to go on the lion right there, which is the British ruling the world. And then we have the students having a fresh coconut with a local coconut vendor. So they're having lots of fun. And then the students get to see the Scotland district in the background. That's where Barbados first emerged from the ocean. And they get to see other features of the old features of old windmills that were used to crush sugar cane for the production of rum. And they get to see other features like a bridge built from molasses. So molasses is an end product of the production of sugar. And so during that time, they learn a lot about the slave history and how these bridges were built to transport different commodities to different plantations and stuff like that. So they get to learn a lot about the history of the island, and they get to see the geology of the island too as well. Then we take a nice 146 feet into the tier of Barbados, where they learn about the geology. They learn about the natural filtration system of the water. We are primarily limestone, so they learn about how the water plays a very important role in the rum and also the beer and how it tastes, because the island is the geology promotes a level of filtration, and it makes the water 99.9% pure. Of course, the water is treated still to make sure that it doesn't have any pathogens, but they learn about the geology. In this picture is my students and my mom in the middle, so they get to meet my mother too as well. And she calls me Dr. Rock in front of them, and they're like, "What did your mom call you Dr. Rock?" And I'm like, well, she's just trying to show that, she's not excluded from calling me Dr. Rock, but she just want to show that she respects me as a professional, and they always find it funny, but she doesn't have to. And then the students learn about the geology again. I like this picture of Christopher. He was a geography major. So the class is not exclusive only to food science majors. We have here, I forgot his name, but he was a political science major. And so they come and learn about geology of Barbados, and I like his shirt. It's a geography thing you want to understand. So I really like the pun of his t-shirt. The next here we explore is we are on our way to the submarine. So we are all excited because there's the first time being on a submarine. And here's the submarine right there. We're on the boat going towards it. And this is how we board the submarine. We climb down the ladder, and we get to explore the island at the depth of 144 feet deep into the Atlantic Ocean. And guess what? We have to hold our breath for 40 minutes. I'm just kidding. So we get to dive 140 feet to see how Barbados was formed in limestone from the coral reefs. This is important because that's what the science is behind the rum and distillation technology in Barbados. The water is pretty pure. So they visit 3 distilleries. One is called Foursquare Rum Distillery. They specialize in spiced rums. And so in Barbados, they use a lot of column still pots. Column still means that the vapors of the alcohol has different levels of purity, and so they're able to distill off the one that is drinkable, and the one that's toxic they can use for other purposes. And so there's a picture of me and my students together in the distillery, and here's the engineer explaining the process of distillation to the students as well. Then we get to go to one called Mount Gay Rum Distillery. They specialize in blended casks. So what that means that they age rum in barrels for a particular time, and then they blend the rums together of different ages to create a flavor profile. That's Dario. He's one of the ambassadors and showing the students the science behind the rum legs, looking at the aromas and how to taste the rum and everything like that. So that was a fun experience for them. Now the age limit for this class is usually students have to be 18 and older because we're going to a different jurisdiction. So I've had a few 19-year-olds on the trip. It's legal for them to go because they're going to Barbados. But when they're returning back to the US, they cannot take back any distilled products because the legal age for alcohol is 21 in the US. So I don't have many of 18-year-olds going, but I do have a lot of between 20 and 25-year-olds. And they're different students from different departments, mainly food science, but a lot are like from like child development. I had a few for child development, political science, geography. I mean, the whole works. And then last, they visit another distillery. It's called Nicholas Abbey. It's a plantation house, and they learn about the history of how Barbadians would have received the way they speak, the dialect, as well as the plantation house and how it relates to the South Carolinas with the Gullah Geechee people. And they also learn about the fermentation process. And this distillery focuses on single cask, which means that the rum is distilled and stored in barrels. It's not mixed or blended or spiced like the other two. So they learn about 3 different styles of rum in Barbados. And this is the owner. He's telling them more about the different types of rums. And you're wondering why they're smiling. Well, you can only take one guess. They had too much to drink. Just kidding. It's not a booze class. And then we also take a brewery tour. They learn about beer making too as well. So I'm going to show you a lot of pictures, and which I do like to share. The visuals are really great. So it's all water. Students to learn about distillation and fermentation science, and any conversation is on the come, even university if you're interested. It can be elective, or if you have like some special topics, students are allowed to do as well. The next thing that students get to be involved in during the time in Barbados is the cultural interaction. So I'm not wearing the costumes because I don't want to spoil students' time. I want to just inhibited and enjoy themselves. So it's still a 4-day morning jam. So the industry is huge in the Caribbean. And so this is very important for because they celebrate the end of the crop season. The crop is and Barbadians at the end of the harvest celebrate that event because it's also celebrating the emancipation of slavery in Barbados. They learn about that history too as well. So they get to wear costumes and dance for like from 12 midnight until 4 a.m. in the morning. So they're dancing, they're eating, they're having fun with the locals, they're feeling the energy of the people, and they get paints sprayed all over them. So that's part of the fun aspect of it too as well. We have a pop star named Rihanna, so they get to visit her house when she was living there as a kid. So Rihanna house. And then my mother is teaching them the cultural aspects of food, how to make Barbadian food. So these are some more highlights of the festival. The students also get to engage with elements of the African diaspora. And so they're dancing with the Mother Sally. She's teaching them how to move their hips. And then we have a stiltman who walks on stilts. And then we have the green monkey, which is native to the island. And he's being very curious, naughty, taking off my students' glasses right there. And they learn about the culinary parts of the culinary aspects of Barbados food. The cuckoo and flying fish is our national dish. It's a corn with okra and steamed flying fish. And then we have the conky, which is very, very similar to African dishes. So we have fufu, and we have cuckoo, and we have conke, and we have conky and kinke, which are all West African food. So they're here enjoying their meals. So that was the teaching aspect. So that was a fun part. I take students every year to Barbados. I haven't done it in 2 years now because of COVID, obviously. but I am hoping to restart in 2022. So if any of you are interested, you can always feel free to contact me if your university allows you to take any credits abroad. The next is my research aspect. My research does involve lab work, but I also take pride in really enhancing the experiences of students through something called research, creative activities and scholarship. And so in this particular picture here, all of my students they created products, and they were in a product development competition at the Southern California IFT, and they all received certificates for their participation. I had 3 groups of students. That year, the challenge was no added sugar, and they had to use natural sugars from food to create a product, because that was around the time when the new nutritional label came out with the added sugar aspect. And so they were challenged to create products with no added sugar. So they all received, a certificate for participating. I think one group came 3rd place, and the other group had honorable mention. And Kara, the student here, was a journalism major. She wanted to be a columnist for a food magazine. So her minor was food science. Her major was journalism. So at Cal State Long Beach, students from any major can take food science as a minor as long as they meet the prerequisites of all the sciences. So that's one intriguing aspect. The next one part about my research is that I specialize in also the science of teaching and learning. And I use a theory called Kolb's theory of learning. It's an experiential learning framework where I teach students how to explore particular issues, how to reflect on how those issues apply to them, and an application piece. And this led me to research and create a class called Franking Food. I create a class called Franking Food at California State University. It's a GE course for anybody within the university. It's under critical thinking. And so I wrote a textbook to enhance the learning of my students, because it's such a novel topic. So I published my book in Kindle Hunt, and I use it for my classes every semester. I also wrote an article which recently got published on applying Kolb's theory of learning, along with my colleague Danielle. She's a guest lecturer who comes in every year to talk about energy beverages, and I work with her specifically to design a lesson plan that involved the use of Kolb's theory of experiential learning, where students are able to think critically about the use of energy beverages and whether they're harmful or not. So that's part of my Franking Food class. So Franking Food is a derogatory term which uses the analogy of Dr. Frankenstein, who was a brilliant scientist who created a humanoid from body parts. And so the analogy is that people think that food is combined of different harmful ingredients, and technology gone mad, and it's really harmful. And so what I created was a class for them to kind of discern what is fact and what is fiction based on the credibility of arguments, the effectiveness of arguments, the logic, the appeals or argumentation, and how they can use those different strategies in really discerning if what they're seeing is what is truthful about the industry. So that's my part about research. I was on sabbatical from January till the end of May last spring, and I had a chance to work with some engineers from the Fab Lab, NASA Fab Lab, developing a food system for the NASA astronauts. This was it's called a Deep Space Food Challenge. It's actually a competition. So for the past 8 months or so, I've been working with engineers and farmers and dietitians in creating this system for the astronauts. So that's also a fun aspect of my research. And last but not least, I also help students publish papers in the Journal of Food Science Education. My undergraduates published an article on GMOs and ethical eating. That was my introductory food science class. And I also have students presenting their research on sustainability at the Green Mixer every semester in the Japanese Garden. And so this is one way I integrate teaching and research together. My last aspect, which is really fun and unique, is student mentorship. I really love student affairs. I think once I advance in my career, I'll work a lot with students. Some professors work with faculty affairs, and some professors work with student affairs. I love working with students because I like them to see me as their glorified big sister. And so pretty much for 3 years of my academic career, I lived on campus in the dorms with freshmen. 2017 to 2020, I lived for 3 years in a living and learning community, which is under the Team Health and Wellness. And so most of the students who live in that residential hall was from the College of Health and Human Services. And so my job was plenty. The picture in the background, we one of the programming events that we had to collaborate on, me and the RA right here. We had to plan a program on healthy living. We decided to hike up to the Hollywood sign. So it took us 2 hours to get up there and then 2 hours back down because of the elevation. And these kids are 17 years younger than me. So I'm like trying to figure out how to get up this mountain. They had to carry me for half the way. But it was really fun. It was a lot of community building, and I got to know the students really, really well. And, you know, I always wanted to climb Mount Lee, and it was really fun. Actually, you can't go up to the sign anymore because people like spray graffiti on all over it. So you can go behind the sign or you can go in front of the sign, and this is the far as you can go to be in front of the sign, the Hollywood sign. So if you're in LA sometime in Long Beach, if you want to get some fitness going on, some conditioning, you know, feel free to contact me and I'll take you up to Mount Lee for a nice hike. So as a faculty in residence, I had to do 4 things. I had to plan programs, educational programming. I had dropping office hours with students every week. I collaborated with campus partners, and I also worked with student interaction and engagement. And so the next few slides, I'll show you just that. So in terms of educational programming, my food science club, along with the residential assistants, plan programs for the residents in the health and wellness. This program I call Healthy Hues, where we did a paint and sip. The actual drink was sparkling water and watermelon infused. And so it's non-alcoholic. We worked on painting the watermelon, and we learned about the lycopene, the hue that gives the red color to the watermelons. We learned about the health benefits of watermelon, lycopene and what it does, and we paint the watermelon and had a fun time learning all about that. And that's what our end product looked like. You know, I tried to I'm a scientist, I'm not really an artist, but I think I did pretty good. I also have dropping office hours. So this is I had 2 apartments. Across the hall was my main living room, and across the side of the hall was my bedroom area. So the students were only allowed in my main area, my kitchen and my living room. So they'll come by and pet my gator, my pet gator right there. And they'll come by and bake cookies, and they'll give me a few. So this is really fun, just having students come over and spend time with me for like 2 hours or 1 hour every week in my home. And I also collaborated with the hospitality management campus partners because the students, I wanted them to learn business etiquette when they go to like fancy dinners, and they know how to use their cutlery and how the placement of the cups were. So my colleague Alex helped me with that. And my student engagement interaction is, I work a lot with the food science club, so they will come to the dorm and prepare, events like ice cream making right here. We did ice cream making, and then we did had a potluck, and I baked the macaroni casserole, my Barbadian dish, and they really had a lot of fun. So it's a lot of fun engaging with students that way. And I actually live in the residential hall. So that brings us to the end of my my fun experiences in academia. So now I want to talk about strategies to acquire a career in academia. So why are jobs in academia a great area for many students? Based on my questioning, lack of career direction in academia is one of them. Like, there's not much stress on careers in academia. It's all about industry. There's also a lack of interest in academia jobs due to the fact that it just involves research and nothing else. There's poor understanding of the academic job recruitment procedure and the application process, and there's limited career geared towards academia. So these are a few of my observations, and also a few of observations out there that told me about their interest in job academia. So I guess one thing was start in the career in academia. My journey first was graduate student at the University of Florida. I actually in the PhD program I took a unit called teaching, where I first got my teaching experience. I engaged my teaching philosophy. Then I served as a postdoc to get my research niche focused, and also as an professor in college that was close by. And that gave me experience in class management and learning management. Like every university has like an online learning management system. We call ours Canva/Beachboard. And then then from there, my experience then allowed me to matriculate into being an assistant associate professor. So here's 5 strategies that and 5 tips that I would encourage you to do. I actually use this from my product development. So there is decide, discover, define, develop, deploy. So first decide which position you are eligible for. So there's many ranks within, there are many different types of professors. I'll show you that next. You want to kind of determine which position you're eligible for. Number 2, you want to discover the skills and qualifications for the jobs and decipher if you are a great fit for the position. So what I encourage students to do is to visit Chronicles of Higher Ed or higheredjob.com, or even your local human resources department on campus. They have jobs posted there on professorship, and also IFT. They have also a career section which also advertise academia jobs. And start looking, if you really have an interest in academic jobs, you want to start looking in your second year of your PhD, so you can start from kind of discovering, okay, what are the skills that I do need to fit these positions? And then define. Define means that you look at the applications or the call for positions, and consider all the documentation that you need to work on to apply for the position. This will give you a chance to create materials for the actual submission for the academic job. And actually, that's the most important part, because you want the university to recognize you and to see you, to invite you on campus for an interview, or to invite you for an interview. So the documentation is very important. Develop means to create quality documents for your application using the job description as a wish list and rubric. And deploy means to send off your applications to the institution that you're trying to apply to for our tenure track job. So when I mentioned to you the different types of professors, there is I call it modifier, constant, and variable. So the constant is that there are different kinds of professors. Sorry, you are a professor. And the modifier could be the different types of professors. So adjunct professor is usually someone who has a primary job, but they just work maybe at a small university, or they teach in a college part-time outside their jobs. And usually that is non-tenured. Non-tenured means that you're not looking for permanent residency at the university. It's just a part-time. Then you have assistant professor. Assistant professor is usually a probationary position. So you have 6 years from the time you get hired to become a permanently instituted professor at the university. That requires you to show competency in the 3 areas: research, teaching, and service in most universities. And it's called tenure track because you're on your track or journey to becoming tenured as a professor. So I was an assistant professor before I became an associate professor. Associate professor is when you're tenured. So basically you have to be an assistant professor before you become an associate. And then they have full professors. So the associate and full professors are usually tenured, and then the other 2 is usually non-tenured or on your way to being tenured. So this is where most likely you can start off. If you're really in your postdoc and you really want to become a professor, it's nice to have an affiliation with a department on campus where you can be an adjunct professor, or you can teach at a small university and get part-time. So recommendations: invest your time into mastering the content of the career path you seek. So if you are interested in academia, you really want to master the content of that career path. You want to talk to your professors or your colleagues who are pursuing these jobs, and go to the workshops. to learn more about how can you optimize your trainings in really acquiring the jobs itself. And then you want to find a mentor, someone who is very enthusiastic about academia themselves, that can mentor you on what are the next steps, and utilize all the professional development trainings and workshops that offer you regarding pedagogy. So pedagogy is a science of teaching and learning, and it's not something I learned in my PhD. My PhD was mainly focused on content knowledge, which is like, you know, our sciences. But pedagogy deals with theories being like really based on philosophers or other scientists who would teach how to assess students' learning, how to frame your classes for experiential learning, things like that. So as a PhD, I used to register for all the workshops in the Professional Development Center for faculty, as well as also in the career services, to learn more about pedagogical technique for teaching, because these are things that you're assessed upon when you're becoming a professor. So this brings me to the end of the presentation. I told you my passion for being why I became a professor, because my friends were, you know, the peer pressure, the peer pressure, it really led me to the path of really mentoring students. I'm really passionate about it. You learn that professor is not only a GPA of 4.0, we love sports cars, we love practicing martial arts, and we like music. The misconception is that about academia is that there is only teaching and research, but there is a sweet spot where you can amalgamate all those experiences together. And my job as an academic is exciting because I engage in study abroad. I integrate research into my teaching and learning. And I also mentored students through faculty and residence. Now, this is not everything that I do as a professor, but it does give you an idea of how you can make academia a very exciting career. So that's the end of my presentation. And this is not a filter. These are actually my students enjoying the beach in Barbados. So I know I went a little quickly because I wanted to honor the time, but I thank you for your listening attention, and please feel free to ask me any questions at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl, for the wonderful presentation. I think I will first start with the questions while others are thinking. I see you do a lot as a faculty, doing abroad sessions and residence as a faculty. How do you manage your own time? Because I do see you working in martial arts and you play violin, you like music. How do you manage time? Because that's very important when you have so many responsibilities.
Yes, you know, it's something I had to condition myself to. I feel that after teaching, you know, it's all about time management and really disciplining yourself. So pretty much on evenings between 6 and 9 is just my trainings for martial arts. And, you know, after work, I also spend like a half an hour to an hour practicing my violin. And I have one day a week from meeting my teacher to, you know, go over techniques. But then he gives me homework. So every day I practice my music. And then then at the end of 3 months, we have a recital. But I try to do those things because they do take me out of my head. Because being an academic, you're always in your mind. Like you're busy into like teaching classes, you're into research. And so the martial arts is a way for physical health, because believe it or not, martial arts is a lot more conditioning, like, you know, push-ups. And it's not just like, you know, breaking boards, and it's a lot of exercise and fitness. And so for an hour each day, hour and a half each day, I get to move away from just academics and focus on myself. I'm actually training for my pre-black belt test, which is in 2 weeks from now. And in February, I'll be a black belt in Hapkido. I've been practicing for 4 years now. And then jiu-jitsu, I mean, like in 8 years from now, I'll be a black belt then. But that's just a future goal. Music is just something I do every day because I think it really calms my mind. And so yeah, just the same way how you find time to schedule your classes, I find time to schedule time for me, which is usually between 6 and 9 each day. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you. You definitely did. So any questions from the students?
So Aman, there's a question in the chat, I think, from a student, but let me just say, hello, Cheryl. I'm Britt Burton Freeman. I'm the chair of the department. Very nice to meet you. Excellent presentation. I don't really have any questions because I think it's all amazing. The one thing I would say for the students is that, those career recommendations that you had for academia, I think you could transform them, in a number of different ways to apply to, what their career aspirations might be for the food industry or other industries. So, I really thank you for sharing all that you shared today. And I think that they can really pull a lot from this presentation.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, there is one question, which is like, how did you come up with the idea for this event?
For this presentation?
That's what I am guessing.
Well, I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about academia. I've always been. I feel like a lot of students really focus on they want an industry job, and I hear it all the time. I have few students who come to me saying they want to be a professor, and I think it's because they have this perception of what academia job is like. And so I try to really, when I was offered this opportunity presentation, I wanted to highlight unique aspects of the field itself. So I saw that I do study for students. They come to the faculty because they're it's first year in university students abroad. Well, I was international student, so I felt like it was really used to traveling abroad. It would be a great opportunity for students to learn about the abroad and it's my country, so it's a culture I'm familiar with. And so I want to highlight not just teaching in the classroom itself, in the lab, but it's my classroom, and I really want to highlight that. And then I also want to highlight how engage with students. Most times students are scared professors. And one of the reasons why California is in the regional and faculty program now is kind of abolished because of COVID. Because the students see professors are not unapproachable, they're approachable. I love our students, and it takes a lot of ability to work with students that way, like you're in the way, you're having different conversations about everything. And so I guess my whole the way I present this presentation was to really highlight the things that people don't see when it comes to being an academic. It's always a poster presentations or publications or teaching in the classroom or doing laboratory experiments. And so I wanted to show something that was different to that. So I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cheryl. Are there any further questions? Okay, yeah. There is one comment. A student really liked your presentation, but she has to go for another meeting, so she is planning to watch your presentation as a recording later on.
Great. I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
If anybody was interested in doing anything with your study abroad program, what would they have to do?
So usually we have the College of Professional and International Education. And so if a student or a faculty member wants to take the trip to Barbados, they will have to go through, well, not faculty, but the student will have to go through the College of Professional and International Education. That's like how they will register for a class. And then they will have to acquire insurance for traveling. And then I usually give a breakdown of the vendors for the plane ticket, where they'll be staying, the accommodations in Barbados, and transportation and everything. This are usually organized already. So I guess the most challenging part is just connecting with the College of Professional and International Education to really get registered in class. Yeah, that's it.
Great. Great presentation. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed presenting this too as well. So thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Okay, Cindy, there is a question. Where do you find the recording for this? Maybe you
Yes,
can
I
mention that.
have, there's a shared Google Drive for the students where I put all the recordings. They should have received an email.
Thank you. All righty. Any further questions before we end today's seminar? And thank Dr. Rock for this wonderful presentation one more time. Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you so much for this presentation and giving a different angle to how academia could be, however you want it to be, basically.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. I really love being an academic. And so I hope more students are able to use this presentation and get really convinced on or inspired by just it to pursue jobs in academia as well. We need more instructors in food science because we have to feed the mind to feed the world.
Yeah, definitely. All righty. Thank you, Cheryl. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye. Nice seeing you.
Yes, thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.